be consistent and have faith in the process. You guys have some great training. And I say you, I should say we, because I feel like I'm part of the group. I learned you should tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear.
Today we're talking with my good friend Dave Desilva out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And the funny thing is that he said he didn't think anybody was going to like him. He's kind of a dry sense of humor, monotone type of guy, but yet he's already closing deals from his YouTube channel in a market where rates still have been above 7% and transactions are just down across the board. But again, it all comes down to personality and consistency. Now, Dave had a channel for 2 to 3 years before he got into the passive prospecting program, and he realized that he was doing everything wrong. He never got any phone calls, had never done any deals, and was trying to edit all the videos himself. So you can imagine how much time that was taking him. But I don't know, 3 years of that type of work with no results, I probably would have quit way before then. So the fact that he stuck with that is pretty amazing. But once he saw what we were doing, he thought, okay, this is the path I need to follow. And sure enough, within 5 months, he's already getting deals under contract, closing deals even higher above his average price point in the Charlotte area. So I'm excited to share with you his story today. He's going to talk about some of the things that he's learned along the way and how excited he is for this opportunity coming up. So let's get into it with Dave. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, Dave. And how you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Good. Well, yeah, we're talking about your successes that you've had on YouTube, especially with a couple of recent closings. But first of all, I just want to ask, how long have you been in real estate?
I've been in real estate full time for about 21 plus years.
Okay.
Got into it just after 9/11 that next year, and that's all I've been doing.
Okay. What was the motivation or the reason, or did you get suckered into it?
Well, it's funny because it's one of those things that even years before that, a number of people had said, hey, you might be good in real estate when I live somewhere else. I'm in Charlotte now. And I never really thought about it until 9/11 started changing my job prospect. And I had an option to move from Charlotte. And we decided, my wife and I had just gotten here a year or so earlier. We didn't want to move, looked at real estate, took a class, and that's the beginning of the story. And it's been 22 years. And again, it's the only thing I've done. No side jobs other than building homes for a number of years and kids and coaching and all that sort of thing. But yeah, that's how I got into it, kind of by accident.
Okay. So you're in Charlotte, North Carolina right now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Great market.
Okay. So you were in Charlotte as well, but after 9/11, your job was likely going to relocate you basically. And then you said,
pretty much.
And y'all said, we don't want to leave the area.
Yeah, and I'm an Army brat, and so I grew up moving all over the place, and I spent 10 years in active duty right out of college, and it was just move, and that wasn't affecting me. I mean, it was great, but when we had kids and we settled here in Charlotte just for a year, we figured out, well, this is a great place and a great city and a great area, so we weren't going to move.
Yeah. Well, I've been in the same boat. So military, and then also whenever I had jobs, that I always moved with opportunity. So, sometimes when you have that job, then there's not a lot of opportunity or advancement. It seemed like in this day and age, you could advance quicker if you were willing to move or take on a new job. Right. And so that was funny. Yeah. I jumped around quite a bit. And then at some point you're just like, all right, we got to settle down and dig in some roots. Right. Unless you just want to live the nomad life forever, but that's few and far between.
Yeah, that was great when it was happening, but it's been great 20 years here in Charlotte.
Yeah. Okay, so all right, so 22 years in the business. What has been your main lead generation strategy up to this point?
Well, probably like most agents initially, it was, get out there and stick out flyers in neighborhoods, talk to some friends, do whatever I could. I remember the old booklet that they had, the land and homes and land or something like that. I used to advertise in there and get some clients once in a while. And then eventually with maturity in the business, it started to become more referral based. And I was chasing those referrals though. It was not a lot of incoming business, except for maybe the last 3 to 5 years. So I was chasing a lot of referrals, doing a lot of work, seeing the fruits of that labor off and on, and seeing a couple of your advertisements and then seeing your success in YouTube. I thought, well, let me listen a little bit more to this and find out what it's all about. And then going to a couple boot camps and hearing some more and talking to your guys, I said, well, let's take that leap of faith. And, so far it's paid off. And I really do see this getting better.
Hey, you should check out my new community for free. It's where I host all of my more in-depth trainings, and you're going to get access to step-by-step courses showing you how to get buyer and seller leads for your business using passive prospecting, a supportive community of over 1,300 members, and weekly group coaching sessions you can attend and ask questions. Now, this community is all about passive prospecting and getting quality buyer and seller leads through YouTube without spending a penny on ads or cold calling. Now, the link is in the description below, so make sure you join for free today and say hi to me when you get in the community. I look forward to seeing you there.
Down the road, because I've made just so many mistakes and I've had that lack of consistency off and on, whether it was sickness or trips or whatever it was, but I see where just a little bit more focus and it's going to really explode. So I'm excited about, what we're doing here, what we're talking about.
All right, great. Let me back up just a little bit, and I want to dig into. So I just want to clarify, for about 17, 18 years, you're saying that you were in pursuit mode, right? You were actively prospecting. You were chasing people down for almost 18 years before you felt like it finally started to reciprocate and come a little bit inbound from referrals and Sphere.
Yeah, and I always knew that you got to stay in touch with your database, but I really didn't have a great method of doing it until video came along, bomb, 10 years ago. And then I started doing it a little bit, but that was kind of reactive. I was sending out videos to specific people, and that took place for a number of years. But then again, like I said, just the last 6, 8, 10 months, or actually 6 months, with me producing videos on YouTube and seeing people coming to me and kind of liking the thumbnails that the editors put out there and liking the content and contacting me, I do see where this is it's got a future for me anyway in this business. So it's going to really help out.
Okay, good. And then
obviously it already has helped out.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I definitely want to get to that. Let's go back to, you said you made a lot of mistakes though. So let's cover let's cover a couple of those mistakes. You mentioned consistency, right? So are you saying that once you started the channel, you weren't as consistent as you could have been in the beginning?
Yeah, definitely. My channel, when I had it before going to passive prospecting, not very consistent at all.
That's right, because you'd tried this for 2 to 3 years just on your own, right? Just you're like, I'm gonna make some videos, no real direction, no real plan, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I was doing the videos, doing the content research. Well, actually, there wasn't much content research. Doing the videos and editing, and that just took up so much of my time. And the editors are a big factor. And I needle your editors, or our editors. I needle them because I want things to be, spelling perfect and all that sort of thing. But the first one I saw, when it was edited by passive prospecting, I was like, who's that guy? Is that me? Just because it was so well done, and the B-roll and all that sort of thing. And you're gonna have to keep putting me back on track, because I can get off on a tangent here, as you can see. But yeah, I made so many mistakes initially on my own, and then even with passive prospecting, just being very consistent, having a little bit of success, losing some consistency, not necessarily because of the success, but just because of focusing back on that one client versus making another video, which could get out there to, hundreds or thousands of potential clients.
Yeah. And because you were editing on your own as well. So not only were you didn't really, before working with us, you were like, okay, I'm just kind of making content, not really doing much research, and you were trying to edit on your own, right?
Yeah, it was hours and hours of, I used WeVideo, Canva, and I never took a class in any one of those. I was just trying to put it together. So that just took up so much time.
Well, I gotta praise you for that, because I probably would have quit after one video if I had to edit videos. I knew coming into this that was not my specialty, and that was going to consume a tremendous amount of my time, and probably just getting frustrated of. So yeah, I mean, the fact that you stuck with that even for a couple of years is is pretty amazing. But yeah, all right. So you got into the program, and then where did you first see us? You mentioned advertisements. Is that what happened? We just showed up in your feed randomly one day? Hey, real quick, if you're thinking about changing brokerages or you're brand new and you're thinking about choosing a brokerage, well, Travis and I would love to talk to you about partnering with us at eXp. You'll get access to all of our coaching, training, and courses at no cost, but mainly we want to see if we're a good fit for each other. So just check the description below and you can book a call with myself and Travis, and we look forward to speaking with you.
Yeah, that might have been it. Or I remember you were on stage at an EXP event.
Okay.
It might have been in Cabo or something. You were on stage and I was thinking, yeah, this is kind of hokey, somebody making, good business off these videos. And I knew there were influencers, but I never really put it together as far as how it could affect my real estate business. I saw you, I'm a non-believer. And then I read a little bit more. I actually was in a different program for a while that really wasn't motivating me, wasn't kicking me off. And then I think I went to one of your early on boot camps, and that was kind of like the catalyst to getting me into the passive prospecting program. And that was just this past January where I really did my first couple of videos and started getting them published.
Yeah.
So it's only been, what are we, 8 months into it, something like that.
Yep. And so even from there, so you said editing came back, you're like, who is this person? And you self-describe as monotone and not that exciting, right?
Yeah, I've got a dry sense of humor, which sometimes comes across. I don't know how it comes across. Probably not positively. And I do feel like I'm monotone. Let's get to the point, blah, blah, blah. But every once in a while, a little smirk in there, and that's my dry sense of humor. But yeah, so I'm thinking that's probably not somebody that people are gonna be attracted to or have some confidence in. I've got a lot of good business success and all that good sort of thing, but people don't know that, the first time they're looking at your video. So yeah, that's what I thought was going to kill me right there.
But then you started getting some phone calls and some Zoom calls.
Yeah, surprisingly, yes. And one thing I remember either from your boot camp or something you had said in a training video was that if people are watching your videos and they like what they see and they do get on a Zoom call with you, it's going to be a different Zoom call. It's not going to be like a cold call. And that's exactly what happened. And I was sitting there staring into my computer, talking to two people in Virginia, a husband and wife team, and we were just yapping away, very comfortably. And I'm thinking, I don't know these guys. They don't know me. Why are we having this sort of positive relationship first time on a Zoom call versus being, hey, how are you? What can I do for you? I mean, how can I help? It wasn't like that. It was just a comfortable conversation. And they've actually been down to Charlotte. We're looking at lakefront property, waiting for releases in a new area of in South Carolina. So they've become great potential buyers. I mean, they're clients, but everyone's a client until they buy. So, that was just amazing, to feel that comfort with people. And I've talked to a couple on the phone that we didn't do Zoom calls, but we talked a number of times. And that's two of the closings in July were like that, where we never got on a Zoom, but we talked quite a bit, exchanged information. They came down to Charlotte from Massachusetts, found what we liked, closed in July. Did I say June? I meant July. So again, just positive experience there.
Okay. So really started following the program around January timeframe, like you said. It took a couple of months before the first phone calls and Zoom calls came in, right?
Yep. Yes.
And then from there, you just kind of started collecting more of those. And then you started having a few people come into town. And now July, let's say around, because they went under contract in June though, right? So they closed in July?
Yeah. End of May, June.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. So really within about 5 months, you're starting to get things under contract, couple of deals under contract, kicking off. And this is even where, and you said even in January, you had some inconsistency, right? Or have you been, have you been pretty consistent since you started in January?
I was pretty consistent up until about a month or so ago.
Okay.
And then I had a couple of issues, went on vacation, had some COVID. My wife and I both did. So that kind of put a damper. But the good thing was at least I had 3 videos in the hopper,
Okay.
ready to edit. So instead of getting out 2 videos a week, I put out 1 video a week. I haven't missed a week since January.
Okay.
And most of that time it was 2 videos per week. Just lately it's been 1. So I've got another one in editing now. I already put one out this week. So the consistency did linger there a little bit. And I saw my numbers take a dip, when I'm doing the analysis. I saw the numbers take a dip and then kind of have leveled back off again. So I need to get back to that 2 a week. At least for me, that's what I need to bump those numbers up.
Yeah. Okay. But I think it's still really important to emphasize that really within 5 months, getting your first one under contract, now you've closed a couple of those deals. And that's in an extremely tough market right now. We're still seeing interest rates practically 7% or higher this entire year. We're seeing more and more people sitting on the sidelines. We're seeing transactions at an all-time low, or not an all-time low, but the lowest they've been in many, many years, if not decades, right? And so we're seeing the transactions. If the transactions are just gone, I mean, on average, I know 2023 was about 30 to 50% less transactions, depending on the market you were in. So now we're kind of following that same trend for 2024. And here you are getting a couple of deals under contract. And so I just want to emphasize that that is still a huge win, and that's going to compound. Plus, you're perfectly positioned right now, too, in my opinion, to where the Fed just came out, right? And they said maybe September they might do a rate cut. I mean, if they drop it even a percentage point, which even right now, what, 6.7 ish we're around. I mean, if it were to go to 5.7, I mean,
Oh my God, yeah.
yeah, it could be
Crazy.
very interesting. Oh yeah, and you're going to be, that's the important thing, is that you've got this content now built up. You do have consistency, and I would say, okay, yeah, maybe you went down to 1 video a week versus 2 videos a week. That's not really a big hit. I'm thinking, when I think of inconsistency, I'm like when people take a month off or 2 months off, and especially at the beginning. But if you're at least getting some content out on a weekly basis, that's ideal. So, but yeah, I think that's great. And so what were your price points on these couple of closings?
On these closings, one was in the 5s, the other one was a townhome in the low 3s.
Okay.
Now,
What's
I got to tell you though,
what's
oops,
your
go ahead,
average?
sorry.
No, what's your average price point in your market?
The average price point in the market, is about 480.
Okay.
The medium's more like 410. And what I did 2 years ago, mine was 333. Last year it was upper to mid 3s. And this year it's probably closer to the 4s, 450. Now, on the plus side of all this contact the videos are helping me make out there, probably the most surprising client that I'm working with now is a $3 million buyer. And they started out at 1.3 to 1.7. And of course, I'm being a little skeptical, thinking, all right, let me check these guys, let me check their names, let me Google, let me check their house on Zillow, and they're the real deal. And they actually came down to Charlotte for a week. We met, I sent them off looking, then we went out looking. They bumped their price point up from 1.7, which was going to be the high, to 3 million, because they said, yeah, we really can't find what we want down here for that 1.7. And I mean, this is an awesome market if you're looking at $1 million, 1.5, $2 million homes. But again, they've got a different lifestyle, and both professionals with a family. They're moving here for the change in pace from New York City area. And, again, that call and the text messages and then meeting face to face was so much more comfortable, because they talked about the videos they saw of mine. And that's going to potentially lead to this gentleman's brother moving down here as part of his business, and he's going to be buying in the 5 to 700 range. And, so again, I just see all this as positive future out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So a $3 million buyer, in your average price point is the 400s in that area, and then you get a $3 million buyer from YouTube. That's amazing, and they're real, because you've already met them, you vetted them.
Yeah, and there was no fear in meeting. And I mean, there was a little bit of nervousness the first time, and I've been doing this for 20 years. So, if I lose a client, no big deal, but I didn't want to lose a client in the millions. And plus they seemed so genuine when we were talking. But then when we sat down, and had a conversation. It was just like we'd known each other for a good long time, and there was an amount of trust in there. And they're not newbies by any chance in buying and in business. So that helped me feel more comfortable knowing that they felt comfortable with me. And that was just such a big plus. And it was all because of the videos. So
And
I got
I
to.
bet they didn't ask you, hey, can you tell me how many $3 million homes you've sold before we work with you?
Yeah, not at all. That never even.
Did
I don't
they
even think I
say,
was
hey,
thinking they were going
did
to.
they say what brokerage are you with? Are you with a luxury
Yeah.
broker? Did they say that?
Not at all. Yeah,
Did they
none of that was there. It was just so here's what we're thinking. What are you thinking? As far as starting a search, they were down here for a week over 4th of July, and we sent them and their 3 younger kids to to Carowinds and to do a couple things to kind of get to know the area a little bit better. And then we were out looking, and they're back up in Long Island, and the expectation is to come down again soon to kind of finalize the deal. They want to be in Charlotte, and I just feel very strongly that it was all because of what they saw, and they saw you know, this is what you get right here. So that was great.
so do they have a dry sense of humor and are they monotone?
Not necessarily, they're very direct, and I learned from being in the service, and my dad spent 20 years in there, and I learned you should tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And I try to do that with some tact versus let me just pound you. I can do that if I need to, but that's not the right way to go about it. So, I told them, hey, I'm going to tell you what I think is the right thing to tell you. You guys make decisions based on that, but I'm not going to, try to make you feel good about everything you're doing. That's up to you. And they appreciated that. They're just good people. And so it was very nice to be sitting with them, talking with them, and working with them. And just the $3 million is a bonus. Whether they buy it 2 or 3, that's just a bonus. But they're really good people.
Yeah. So are they looking, is this lakefront or are they just looking in some expensive neighborhoods or?
Yeah, expensive neighborhoods. I think lakefront again would be a bonus. That's not a requirement. They're looking for good schools because they've got younger children. They want a nice neighborhood. They want to be close to or easy access to some shopping and to the airport and that sort of thing. So again, nothing specific. They don't have to be on the water. They don't have to have a small neighborhood or a big neighborhood. They're flexible, which is nice. Really good to have in a client.
Yeah. Well, good. So what would you say to encourage others right now that are also starting with YouTube or maybe even a little skeptical, like you said you were in the beginning? What would you say to that now?
Well, I'd say, ask questions, get the down and dirty. If you have any questions when you're talking, when those people are talking to somebody at passive prospecting, ask questions, know what you're getting into, and I did that, I think, and that helped. And then, be consistent and have faith in the process. You guys have some great training. And I say I should say we, because I feel like I'm part of the group. And, that's why I've given, critical criticism to Archie, my account manager and my accountability partner. He loves it. I'm sure he's like, oh my God, not this guy again. But, you know, give great feedback and, keep digging until you get the answers that you need. But again, you got to be consistent, plan this stuff out. There are so many topics that you can do in your market. I just came up with 150 topics using AI. And I think you had some AI training. I took what I got from that training, put it into Chat GPT, 5 general topics. I said, give me 10 that are controversial, 10 that are educational, 10 for each of these topics. Give me 10 subjects. And I came up with 150 different YouTube video potential titles. So that'll be fun. Some of those I'm looking at going, holy cow, I don't know anything about that. Others are like, oh, I can do that one today. But again, back to your question, be consistent, ask questions, have faith in the system, and have faith that somebody's probably going to like your personality, your persona on camera, because everybody's different. We're inundated in Charlotte with YouTube video producers, and some of them are really good, and I watch them. I get ideas from them. And some of them aren't so good and they have good ideas too, but there's a client out there for everybody.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to be the number one guy in your market, which is a goal. Yeah.
Well, and again, based on your goals, I mean, could one or two transactions change your business? And so, I mean, if you can generate consistently 1 to 2 transactions a month, that's a big deal for, a lot of people out there. And so, if you're like, hey, no, I want 3 to 5, I mean, you got to set these types of goals and work towards what you want your business to be from YouTube. And so, of course, with that ultimately comes creating better content, and that's what it really comes down to. But getting your processes in place so that this becomes easier as you move along, right? You get more efficient, you just get less time consuming on your task and things that you do, and you just become more proficient, just like with anything in any aspect of life. I mean, just the more we do it, the more we put in the reps, and we are intentional about it, we should start to see improvement. And as long as we do that, the next thing we know, I mean, you're already at 6, 7 months into this journey, and you're like, whoa, I mean, did you ever think, I mean, you just know, right? Time flies, right? Especially when you start working on something, you're like, wow, what? And a lot of people will delay 6 months or a year. And then guess what they're saying? I wish I would have started that 6 months or a year ago. So even just,
Definitely.
yeah, getting through the process. And then next thing you know, you're like, wow, I'm already 6, 7 months into this. So much easier. I'm starting to get a flow, and for me, even to this day, I'm still adjusting. I'm still trying to find my cadence, and something that I'm getting back into right now as well is yeah, like you mentioned earlier, we were talking offline. I've had a lot of obligations and travel and things like that, and that can just throw a wrench in your schedule. And so now I look at, okay, now I've got to get back on the consistency myself, because I'll just have to double up content. I know you said you were traveling, and that's something else that we encourage everyone. If you are traveling, especially during summer, you're taking vacation, hanging out with the kids, whatever the case may be, you might just need to double up on that content, get it ready to go before you go. That gives you peace of mind. That allows you to do everything you need to do. But also, if you're ahead, and you catch, you get sick, like you mentioned as well, you want that buffer on top of that. So making sure that you're always a little bit ahead on your content helps out. And you mentioned having 3, 4 videos queued up that the team can take over and knock that out, then you don't feel so bad, right? It's not a big deal. So
Yeah, I think a critical key that I did mention is that time blocking. It's something I've done for my business for years. And when I got into the video making business here, into passive prospecting, I didn't necessarily time block. So that was one of those things I kind of ignored, some of the training, because I was time blocking my real estate business.
yeah.
And then lately, what I started doing was time blocking YouTube video production as part of my real estate business, not just doing it haphazardly. I mean, I was able over the first 4 or 5 months just to do some content creation, look things up on Google, get out to a suburb and create some video. And then I started figuring out, okay, wait a minute, I'm doing this haphazardly. So now I've got certain days and certain hours when I'm doing some content creation and research. And then I'm doing shooting the videos. And of course, there's rainy days in every city. So you've got to have some of those, the ability to change. But I think that going forward, from here on out, from a couple of weeks ago on out, that in time blocking in the video production and creation is going to be extremely important. And I think that's, again, just another thing that you guys do teach that is going to be very helpful and, get more business coming my way.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something I really encourage people that, and if your schedule is changing every single week, then you should make it a priority Sunday night to sit down. And this should only take 5 to 10 minutes, really. I mean, maybe 15 minutes max. Look at your calendar, see where the gaps are, and say, okay, this is where I have to, factor in video production, video research, or actually, yeah, filming the content. And so, and if you have a pretty consistent schedule, then if you can time block Tuesday mornings or Tuesday afternoons and just realize that, hey, you know what? I never get a phone call that somebody wants to see property on Tuesday afternoons, right? It's just one of those, then say, okay, well, I'm just going to block that out, and only for absolute emergencies, like somebody says, okay, I got to see this house right now, and this is the only time, I'm just going to use that time to do that. And it just makes life so much easier. And when you have it blocked out there, I know that for me, like dead space in a calendar is trouble. And actually for a lot of people, actually what I do is I have these little mini sticky notes. I've got 5 of them on my desk right now. And if I ever have a cancellation, somebody cancels, or, I have a little gap, even if it's like a 30-minute gap between some meeting or filming or something like that, this is what I call my punch list, And so these are things that are not necessarily priority, but I still need to get them done. And it's kind of like my to-do list whenever I have a free moment. So if there's a gap in my calendar, or somebody cancels a meeting or something like that, or I get done with something early, I'm like, okay, boom, and then I can do one of these tasks, and then I can just throw away this little sticky note. So these are low priority but still need to get done, and then otherwise I'm working off my calendar the rest of the time. But Sunday night, 10 to 15 minutes, schedule it out. That way, if your schedule is fluctuating on a week-to-week basis, then you still plug in the holes on that. So that's always helped me.
Yeah, good advice, good information.
Well, Dave, look, I really appreciate you taking the time to share your recent successes with us. Even though it's been a journey right now, you're just getting started, just scratching the surface. I know this is going to compound for you, and I really appreciate you sharing it with us today. So I look forward to, seeing your next video.
Well, fantastic. Yeah, when you see it, make sure you share it with all your buddies, so I get 50,000 looks.
We'll do. All right. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye bye.